Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Peace and blessings, mob family. Welcome to another brainstorming session. If you've been, rocking with our community for these last few years, you already know, man, it's all about connecting the dots. It's all about community. It's all about generational wealth. And we always love dropping some gems, connecting you guys with real live entrepreneurs, real life community leaders. And I've been loving it, man. I get excited, every time we get a chance to come on and brainstorm with you guys. If you tapped in live with us, we are live on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and hopefully LinkedIn. I've been having a little issues on LinkedIn, but hey, if you're not tapped in with us live, you can always check out the recaps on MOB TV. Shout out to all of our mentors, members, and advisors. We're nothing without you guys, man. You guys been killing. We've been starting off the year crazy already. Connecting, we already got some brand new connections, some new updates. Speaking of updates, definitely make sure you guys check out our website. We got we love to keep you guys updated on our website. We love to keep you guys, updated with everything that we got going on. Especially if you're new to the community, check us out. See what we're about. We actually have a brand new feature on our website, which is the free business readiness audit. So if you just wondering where you're at, or wondering what steps you need to take to make sure your business qualify for funding, make sure you guys take our free audit. Like I said, it's free. We're gonna send you back an email telling you exactly what it is that you need. And again, it's always about providing you guys with some type of value. It's hard being an entrepreneur, so we just want to make sure that we're that catalyst, and that we're being that support system. I love to call it the mentors and advisors, our support analysts. At the end of the day, so it's all about growing. Making sure that we're moving forward and not backwards at the end of the day. Also, make sure you guys check out some of the features within our community. Check out some of the ways that you can actually benefit. Whether you're an entrepreneur that's been in business, or if you're just thinking about starting a new business, it's always good to have those resources available to you guys. Whether you're looking for business funding, business planning and strategies, whether you're looking to get into AI, or whether you're looking to get some more visibility out here. If you need help, advertising and marketing, managing your social media platforms. We all know it's hectic. Especially some of you guys have 6 or 7 platforms that you're managing and operating your business at the same time. I know it can be hectic, so you have a great social media management team. We also have a great video and audio production team, photography team, or if you just need your website updated, or if you need a brand new website, we have a great website and design team. So make sure you guys reach out to us, figure out how you can actually get on board. And figure out how you can actually take advantage of some of these resources that we have and some of these modules that we've been going through. Speaking of modules, it is the first month of the year. So if you've been tapped in with our brainstorming sessions, we've been leaving you guys with some assignments, so stay tuned. After this brainstorming session, at the end of this brainstorming session, I'm actually gonna give you guys the assignment for this month. Even though we in the last couple of days, it's super easy for you guys to do. If you already completed the assignment for this month, make sure you guys send them to us, send us some emails, send us some DMs. We would love to see what you guys came up with. And speaking of that, make sure you guys check out MOB TV again. We have a lot of great information on there. Our goal was to create a Netflix for entrepreneurs. So definitely check out the amazing stories that we have on there. We have a bunch of exclusive interviews. Again, you can check out some of the recap videos from our previous brainstorming sessions if you missed them. And just get motivated. Go in there and check out some of the other entrepreneurs that's on there that we feature, some of the commercials that we've produced and shared. And it's all about motivation, inspiration. We motivate each other, so that's the goal. If you don't do anything else, make sure you guys check out our resource center, especially if you are an entrepreneur, especially if you're just getting into the realm of entrepreneurship, this will be a great resource for you guys. We got ebooks on there. We have some resources whether you building your credit or need to track your credit. If you're looking for some grants, if you're looking for some unconventional funding, make sure you guys check out our resource center. And again, we got a lot of different programs this year that we're going to be, launching. One of them being our STEAM program for the youth. So at the end of the day, it's all hands on deck. We've been having some amazing people support us throughout the years, even if they don't have a business. So this will really led us to creating our Friends of the Mile program. So if you're looking to support, if you're looking to donate, and just be a part of the journey, whether you have a business or not, make sure you guys check out our Friend of the Mile program. Like I said, we need all hands on deck, man. We can't do this alone. And at the end of the day, we can't look for other people to save us. We got to save ourselves. We got to, come together as a community and figure things out, especially for the future. That's why I'm super excited about our STEAM program that we have coming up for the youth, because they are our future. We must invest in them. We must, put together our own programs out here, because, you guys see what's going on out here, man. With these institutions, just with this system alone. So, hey, we got to save ourselves. We got to create our own programs, and we got to support our community. Again, if you guys are looking to partner up with us, whether it's being through the Friends of the Mile program, or if you want to become a sponsored member or affiliate, make sure you guys check out our previous sponsors and members. Check out some of our affiliates. See some of the great things that they're doing, and definitely check out our affiliate program. If anybody that's either starting a business or scaling a business, hey, why not bring them on to the community and get paid for it at the same time? So like I said, it's all about connecting the dots, making it make sense, and making sure that we passing on the information to somebody that actually needs it. So I'm pretty sure everybody, especially in this climate, everybody knows somebody who have a business or is thinking about starting a business or a brand. So hey, bring them on, bring them into the community. Let's figure out, what solutions we can actually provide them, what resources we can provide them, and figure out how we can just keep this thing going in full circle. That's what it's all about. So make sure you guys definitely check out some of the updates on our website. And again, definitely, if you don't know where you're at, especially if you're just starting off, or if you just, you went through a revamping stage, take our Readiness Audit. Let's see where you're at. Let's see if you're, actually qualified for funding. Sometimes, most of us really don't, have the information and really don't know all of the things that we need. We just, have that passion, right? We just know what we want to do, but we don't really know or have the resources to kind of do it. And for you guys that know me, I'm always talking about the big three, which is capital, information, and having a team, having a community. That's what it's all about. So those are the 3 pain points that I've seen over the years. And that's what we're here for, man. We're figuring out different ways to excel, different ways to, help you guys excel. And that's what it's all about. As you guys know, we always have a special guest for you guys. I'm super excited, as always. I'm always excited to, bring on new entrepreneurs, new guests, and connect with them. It's always something, that we can actually learn from each other. And, one thing that I find so special about our brainstorming sessions is the way that, just the confirmations that we get, the things that we learn through other people's journeys. Even though, everybody that we bring on is from different backgrounds, different industries, it's always something that we can learn from them. We're all in the same boat. And, as you guys look back at our brainstorming sessions, you will see some of the same confirmations. You'll see some of the same answers. We pretty much go through the same, modules. Every topic that we go through is based on one of our modules, one of our 12 modules. And that's what we need, a structure. And sometimes you just need that confirmation. Sometimes you just need that motivation to keep pushing. Like I said, I know, I'm a serial entrepreneur myself, so I know it can get hectic, being an entrepreneur, and just growing anything, right? So, we all need a support system. We all need those accountability partners. We all need a mentor, and we all need some motivation, man, to keep going. Real quick, I really want to show one of the commercials that we shot for one of our members, Fee from Philosophy. Shout out to Fee, man. She's been doing some amazing things. She's actually been a member with us for a couple of years now, and it's just amazing to see all of the things, she have accomplished within those couple of years. So yeah, let's check out one of the commercials that we actually shot and produced for her. Check out her story, and then we'll be back, and we'll actually when we come back, we're actually going to bring up our special guest for today. So hey, let's stay tuned.
It's Fee with Philosophy, aka Nature Body Spa. I am your holistic wellness guru. I have been in the industry for over 15 years, dealing with skin, all different types of skin types, whether it be eczema, rosacea, ashy, I handle it all. What had me start my own business was I was looking for what was missing in my personal skincare regimen. I needed something that was hydrating. I needed something that was sensual. I needed something that was actually plant-based and cruelty-free that was gonna give me the results that I needed with my personal skincare regimen. That's how I got started. That initial inspiration evolved over time. Basically, I started making oatmeal soaps, which was my very first product. And from there, one of the tribe used my shower and was like, hey, I need one of those. And I said, well, you can have it. And she says, no, I need my own. So she gave me $10 and the rest was history. A pivotal moment in my entrepreneur journey that I had experienced was I did an event called Conjure Fest back in 2019, I believe. It was my first event. I had a small little tent, and when I tell you it was like super, super tight, it was super, super tight. I had everybody under my little tent in the rain trying to get their products. That was the first time I hit $1,000 sales in like 4 hours. It was crazy. So when that happened, I was like, oh, I didn't hit the jackpot. This is all it takes? This is it? So it's been history since. It shaped my approach to business because it's allowed me to have the freedom to not have to return back to corporate. I've been working for myself for 5 years, 2 of those years back in the background when I was still with corporate, prior to COVID taking place. A lot of that was really pivotal for me because 1, I was 5 months pregnant. And then 2, not only was I pregnant, but also on the corporate end of things, they were shutting things down behind closed doors when it comes to the corporate ladders, as you guys know. So after corporate hit, I was like, I'm just not gonna go back. So I've been doing my business ever since. The challenges that I've faced as an entrepreneur is just the evolving journey of finding what works for everybody, being able to gear the products towards every skin type, being able to make sure that everyone has what they desire and what they need, and also getting the results that they really need. I'm really big on, if I don't have something, I can create it. I can custom orders, I can do, whatever your skin type is, I can gear for your needs what you personally need per client, per person in the tribe. So the tips that I would give to like minds like myself in the same business aspect would be to, 1, learn your tribe. Learn the products that they need, learn the services that they desire, learn the things that are missing to find your niche even in the business. And don't give up. Don't take no for an answer, and definitely don't give up. It is a creative process, so over time you will evolve with your craft. The most outrageous rumor in the business realm that I've ever heard of myself or about myself would probably be from the tribe. They give me the craziest kink stories with how they use their products. And I think that is probably like one of the biggest things. Like, oh, do you really I do get people naked, yes. I do get you naked, yes. But I'm not doing nothing, I promise. I'm just like, doing my services and stuff. But yeah, we ain't having no happy endings or nothing like that necessarily. So that's what it is. The weirdest advice that I've ever received about running the business was that I was crazy for starting my business, that I wasn't going to necessarily, like my sister to be exact, she was very like, what is wrong with you? You're pregnant. You can't just go out here and have your own business. You got a baby on the way. What are you gonna do for money? And I'm like, the tribe is gonna take care of this. We ain't gonna worry about that. Everything is gonna work out. And so being that it's been five years later, the proof is in the pudding, okay? I am here to stay. I'm not going nowhere. If I had a historical figure that I could go back to, I would have to say it would probably be a mixture. It would be like Cleopatra, because she's a dope ruler, Plus, you had the men wrapped around her finger and they did what she wanted, you know what I'm saying? So it would probably be Cleopatra with probably some Eartha Kitt, because Eartha was very about her business. She's very about, having her feminine power, her feminine energy, and we don't compromise. We don't compromise. We come to a solution together where we can be able to meet on the same realm and make it happen. So I would have to pick those two if I had to choose. You guys can follow me on my IG. It's forever_fee with 2 I's, FII. Or you can reach me on my business page. It's Philosophy. That's fee with 2 I's yet again. FIILOSOPHY LLC. Or just reach me on my TikTok, Philosophy. That's where you can find me.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hey, shout out to Fee, man, from Philosophy LLC. Like I said, she got some amazing products. She's an amazing person just in general, as you guys can see. And it's so motivational just to see everybody's story. Speaking of stories, we got another special guest. Hey, real quick, man, if you tapped in with us live, make sure you guys blow up that chat, tap in with your social medias. Post your social media sites, your websites. You just never know who might want to check out your business. That's what it's, and like I said all the time, it's all about connecting the dots. It's all about connecting you guys and connecting with new people. Without further ado, I don't want to hold you guys up too much longer. I want to bring on our special guest. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Queen. What's going on? What's going on?
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me good?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. How's it going?
Can't complain. I feel super blessed.
Hey, we still here, we still kicking, we still moving, we still motivating and getting motivated, at the same time. So, we have nothing to complain about. We got to keep pushing for sure. For the people that's under a rock, let the people know who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, well, everybody, my name is L.A. Neville, and I am the founder, creator of the Spaceyverse, which is a metaphysical entertainment multimedia empire thing going on. And I am a strategist for businesses who are, going through thresholds, which everybody right now is going through a threshold. So I give creative direction and strategy for future direction.
Hey, speaking of thresholds, man, we always overcome, and we always need people like you to help us overcome, for sure. Really, real quick, what's the most exciting thing about, your industry and what it is that you do?
The most exciting thing right now, exciting. I can say for me it's exciting, but it's really like dismantling this false narrative of holding on to a structure that is no longer valid. For me, that's exciting, right? Because it's a time right now where everything is collapsing, but when you can see the future clearly, it's like, hey, you don't got to panic. Let me show you the way. So for me, doing that through entertainment, that's my biggest thing, to really bypass people's logical mind and go straight to their emotions and be like, everything's going to be okay.
No, most definitely. I definitely agree with, just the old system collapsing. I think I talk about this all the time. We're in a whole new millennium right now. These last 5 years has been, or now 6 years. Now we're in 2026, but since 2020, it's been a whole new revelation. With industries falling and industries beginning. I know a lot of new entrepreneurs. I like to call them pandemic babies, right? I've been an entrepreneur for a long time before it was actually a trend and before it was cool. So it was exciting, to see, for me, somebody that's always looking forward to the future. And like you said, it may be falling, the industry is falling, but if you can see in the future, you see the growth as well. Even with AI, it got a lot of people shook right now. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs that's absolutely terrified of AI because they don't see the industries. And I think a lot of people only focus on how many jobs in industries that it's going to take, but not really focus on how many jobs in industry that it's actually going to create as well. Like AI consultants, AI experts, stuff like that didn't exist 10 years ago. Even though AI been out for the last 20 something years. But it didn't. Those industries didn't exist. So I'm excited. I'm pro AI all day. Even right now, our organization is probably 40% or 30% ran by AI. But one thing AI can't take away is our passion. as human beings in our growth, our evolution. So we have to stay ahead of the game. We have to, that's why I'm very excited about our STEAM program, because we're going to be teaching the youth how to code, how to use language models, how to build their own AI platforms, so we don't have to depend on third-party platforms. So it's super important to stay ahead of the game. Real quick, speaking of that, I really want to touch on, branding and marketing. This is, a couple of our modules that we touch on all the time. What's the most common branding mistake you see entrepreneurs make, and what do you think is a better approach?
For branding, I think that, most entrepreneurs want to appeal to the masses, which is the point, right? Of having a brand. You want it to be recognizable. You want people to feel connected to it. But I think that really business is an art, and art tugs on emotions, right? And it's the originality and the intent behind your branding. You can make anything recognizable, but it has to have heart, And I think that we get so focused on the numbers and this and that, when really it is the story we're trying to portray and how it connects to other people, not the other way around.
Most definitely. I talk about this all the time, when it comes to branding and marketing. A lot of people, I ask people who their target audience is. And it's one of the most difficult questions that I can actually get out of people, because, like you said, you want to, you want your target audience to be everybody, right? And, one of the things, and one of the hardest things I try to get our members to do is niche down, especially in the beginning, really target who is actually interested, who really speak to a certain person, because you do have to evoke emotion. And some people just don't care about what it is that you do. Finding, those people that actually care about what it is that you're doing, need your services, is super important. Speaking of marketing, with all the noise online, what is one marketing tactic you feel is still what's one marketing tactic you feel is still underrated but still works?
I think it's always word of mouth, right? Making that connection. One thing that I actually had to do for myself is pivot. I pivot a lot, but this one I really had to understand that, like you said, niching down, but niching down also in how you market, right? Is quality over quantity. And those one-on-one relationships with the right people are worth a million times more than just, shouting out into the void of the masses. And so, yeah, word of mouth is still the biggest form of networking.
Hey, when I tell you, and this what I'm talking about when I'm talking about confirmations, right? Because the last probably 3 or 4 brainstorming sessions we've done, it's been the same answer, right? Word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth. Especially more now than ever, I feel like, even though social media is a great tool to connect with people, and it's something that I'm heavy on, connecting through social media, but there's nothing like that word of mouth, because the trust factor,
Yeah.
right? The trust is messed up in our community. You got so much fraudulent things online. So it's nothing about getting referred by somebody that you actually trust, or hearing. I think that's why influencer marketing is so important right now. Linking up with different influencers that people trust. They want to know. They want to hear from somebody else, and I feel like it's super important. And this is not scripted, you guys. I know if you've been tapping in with us for the last few, I know you're like, man, I've been hearing the same answers, but this is what I'm talking about, confirmation. We're all in the same boat. And this is why we like to hear from people that's actually out here putting boots to ground, actually out here building something, because, it's real life solutions, it's real life things that we're all going through. So yeah, word of mouth is super important. I think that's the best answer that you could possibly give. Yeah. So let's move on. I talk about another thing that I talk about in another one of our modules, is business planning. This is super, this is something that I stress a lot with, some of our newer members. This is something that we do, even if you have a business plan coming in to our community, we make sure that we go over it, revamp whatever we need to revamp, or we just need a whole new one. That's what we do. how often should entrepreneurs revisit their business plan, and what's the biggest red flag when it's time to update it?
I think, from my perspective, a business plan and a business should be treated like a living, breathing entity. And so, what I'll say is, whenever you hit a milestone, you should look at your plan, or maybe quarterly. But usually you will have milestones quarterly, bi-yearly, yearly, and that's when you need to go back and look at it and say, okay, this is where I'm at. Compare, look towards the future. Maybe you learned some things and you need to adjust your plan moving forward. But yeah, a business plan should be something that grows along with you.
Every time. This is, again, this is not scripted, you guys. I know you guys hear me say this all the time. Especially when you spoke on it being a living document. You have to adapt. I've been talking about this for probably the last 10 years. Showing people, and encouraging people to adapt. Sometimes you get stuck in your ways. You get stuck on your passion. And sometimes your business model don't change. Sometimes the world around you change, right? And we seen that with the pandemic. It was big. Especially with everybody that I was talking about adapting with. That was a huge moment for us, and a huge confirmation. And it showed us like, we all have to adapt sometimes. And even us, we went through a revamping stage a few times, in these last 5 years. This last revamping stage, launching our MOB program, and really focusing on, entrepreneurs has probably been the best revamp that we've had, because we're actually, getting more results. We're actually connecting with, more of our target audience, and putting ourselves in different rooms than we were before. So sometimes, it don't matter how long you've been in the game. I've been entrepreneur for 17 years, and you can never have enough knowledge. You can never adapt enough. So I appreciate you for them gems, Queen, for sure, for sure. So real quick, man, let's skip to funding and financial growth. I know a lot of people have been, following us and, reaching out to us about their finances. We've been, talking to a lot of entrepreneurs who, we all can use some more capital, right? What funding opportunities do you think small business owners often overlook, especially in underserved communities?
Hmm. I think I think what's important is to reach out to your community, to connect with these local businesses, or say, even if you have community centers, go down to your local government. Really, it really is putting boots to the ground and getting the word out and connecting with the community, because if the community knows that you're trying to pour into it, it will pour into you. So I think, really, any business, it is the people. It's always going to be the community, because without the people, who you selling to?
I love it. I love it. I love it. And this is something that we've been really focusing on, and talking about, even implementing in our own organization, just like the Friends of the Mile program that we have. That's one of the programs that we can bring in the community, because we've noticed in the last couple of years, we've had a lot of people that don't even have businesses, want to donate, and have donated. So crowdfunding is a huge one, especially when you're a new business. These banks, they're gonna take you through the runaround. They don't want to invest in your company, and it's all about making money for them. So they want to make sure that they can actually make some money. It's not about community with them. So getting with your local chambers of commerce, putting you in different rooms. We spoke about this maybe last week on a brainstorming session that we had. Joining local organizations like ourselves, or like people like Skip, Operation Hope, different organizations like that have so many different resources for you, that will put you in rooms with different investors. Like the year before last, we had a few a few in-person brainstorming sessions where we brought in different angel investors to really meet face to face with these businesses like Feed, from Philosophy LLC, or like Jasmine, from Serenity Nail Polish. Some of our members that we know that's actually serious about their brand. Because one thing that people is looking for, they're looking for, do they like you first? What type of person are you? Not just your product, right? So it's super important to link with these different organizations and look into some of these unconventional funding sources as well. We have some on our resource center to really kind of take you away from that. Also with our strategies, figuring out different ways to utilize credit lines and different things like that to fund your business and fund your dreams. You got to be strategic, man. It's super important. The traditional ways sometimes don't work for us. Especially when you come from underserved communities. They're looking at your zip code. They're looking at what type of industry you're in, if you're high risk, what type of all the way down to the type of name you have. So these are some of the things that we try to teach our community and put out there, because there's so many things that even when I didn't know, coming into just starting my entrepreneurship journey, I didn't know none of these things. I didn't know nothing about a zip code or nothing about credit. All I knew about credit was it's bad credit, bad, debt. Everybody I knew that had a credit card was in debt. So I didn't get a credit card until I was 30, because it scared me. And I didn't want to be in that position. I didn't know nothing about good debt versus bad debt, right? So, now it's all about information, right? Having that information and having the resources to actually put it together. Is super important for us. We have to know these things. We have to, and they don't teach us these things in school, right? They teach us how to be workers, and that's the goal. A lot of people think the school system is broken. No, it's working. It's working for them. It's working for the people that it needs to work for. So it's super important for us to get on top of these things and to have the information, have these resources when it comes to obtaining generational wealth. That's what it's all about. So. Speaking of obtaining generational wealth, I want to talk about legal structure, right? Because this is something that I come across all the time when we're going through the process of getting different businesses funding. Sometimes they don't have the right structure in place. What's one legal step every entrepreneur should take early to protect their business?
Definitely license it. You definitely want to do that first, because now you own it. And if you can take the steps, especially if you're running a brand, trademarking as well, you definitely want to separate yourself financially from your business.
Super important. Super important. We have to separate ourselves. We have to separate our personal. And I think that's one of the biggest red flags that I see a lot of business owners do. Is not separating their personal from their business. It's super important, and just having the right structure. Again, I didn't know a lot of these things. I'm not coming off like I'm a super guru. We're getting rid of the gurus this year. We just being raw. We bringing back the truth. We learning together. A lot of these things I've learned through my journey. And sometimes it's okay to just step out there and even if you don't know all of these things, step out there anyway. Get it started anyway.
I learned through trial and error and failing and doing stuff wrong.
Bumped my head so many times. Even before I got my mentors and stuff like that, I bumped my head, and sometimes that's what you need to do. Especially somebody like me. I'm a hands-on type of person. I need to get out there. I can't learn from YouTube University or just somebody telling me. I have to get out there. I have to, fail sometimes. I have to succeed sometimes to see what works. And I think that's super important for us to do. But having that legal structure in place, is super important. And I can't stress that enough. Sometimes that's all it needs. I know people that have 700, 800 credit scores that still can't get their business funded because they don't have the right structure, right? So speaking of structure, speaking of the future, I know we spoke on this earlier, when we was talking about AI, and this is actually one of my most exciting topics, one of my most exciting modules, tech and automation, right? What simple automation tool or AI tool has saved you the most time or helped you scale your business?
ChatGPT, hands down. And I have to say, you have to use it in a particular way. Before I used it, I did actually take courses on how to properly prompt, the history, the different types of AI and LLM models. I really did my research, and I even started and I got my certifications in Python and JavaScript and all of these things just to understand it. And once you really understand it, you stop treating it like a like Google, and you actually treat it like a strategic tool. And when I say that, once I trained my model, it cut down on probably something that would have taken me a month to do. I can get done in a day, like just like that, because I trained it on everything that I need. You have to be extremely specific, but now I don't have to do the little tiny things. It already can do all of that for me, so I can focus on the bigger picture. And to speak to what you said earlier about AI and people, stressing out about it or whatever, about taking the jobs and everything. But just like anything else, a new technology or system comes in, we get new jobs. And it always makes me think of the movie Hidden Figures, where you had the black women that were the calculators, and they brought in the new AI machine, the computer, and she taught it to herself and other people. So when their job became redundant, well, now who's going to run it? She is, because she trained herself on that, and that's what we got to do.
It's super important. It's super detrimental, you guys. We have to get ahead of this curve. This is the best thing since the internet. And this is the best thing since the internet and social media. Two pivotal moments, especially for entrepreneurs, that really changed the world. The internet changed the world. Social media changed the world. AI is going to change the world too, and we have to get ahead of this. I still know people that still don't utilize social media. Right? It can't be the same way with this AI. We can't be the ones that's left behind. I still know people that still don't use ChatGPT. I've been putting people up on ChatGPT for probably about 2 years now. What I've been using a lot lately as well is Gemini. Like,
Yeah.
that's my partner. That's salute to Gemini. That's one of our best advisors that we have on our team. And it's all about learning how to use these models, learning how to train them to serve you at the end of the
Yes.
day. And I think learning how to do prompts is super important. It's something that we're going to be going over in our STEAM program. We might need you to come on board as one of the mentors as well, to kind of teach these kids how to utilize it, because they are future. They going to be the ones that really save us and move us forward. And I'm super excited just to see how advanced AI is going to be in the next 10 years. It's exciting and scary at the same time. Just seeing how rapidly it's growing right now. In these last few years, it's been growing. So the next 10 years, it's going to be a must. It's not going to be something that's optional anymore. I mean, you're seeing all the major brands, all the major corporations, they're incorporating AI at a rapid pace. Trying to figure it out. Even if you're not tech savvy, get someone on your team that knows it. Get around someone that knows it, right? I'm not the most tech savvy person on my team. We have, a few stack developers and a few people, that know, that's just next level with it. Like our partner D Hudson, we're actually going to be hosting an AI masterclass webinar with him. He already have some webinars and classes that he hosts as well, teaching people how to create their own AI programs. And not have to rely on these third parties, because if ChatGPT decide to go up on price, or ban you, or whatever, kick you out, or just get bought by another company, which has been happening to a lot of AI companies in the last few years. Now you're stuck, and this is something that your business, especially if it's something that your business rely on. You want to make sure that you have a safety blanket, and that you can still operate your business. Is super important, guys. I can't stress that enough. So even if you don't have time to learn it, or not that tech savvy, get someone on your team that knows it. And continue on pushing forward. We have to be forward thinking at the end of the day. Speaking of somebody on your team, let's talk about networking and partnerships. This is something that that really bothers me a lot. Actually, I actually hate. I actually got to the point where I hate the word collaboration, right? Because over the years, in my experience, whenever somebody come with me with a collaboration, it's just they just want your services for free, right? And that's something that I've come to learn. It's a stigma that's becoming just nasty, right? And we have to get back to real partnerships. In your eyes, what makes a business partnership truly a win-win for both sides?
You know what I've learned, and like you said about collaboration, yeah, that's like immediately like the red flags go up. And that's because a partnership is really a relationship. So you have to be able to have a mutual understanding, to be able to have alignment there. Um, so you really just have to treat it like a relationship. Like you want to date your partner, right? You want to vet them, and build that connection, because it is important that uh, getting in partnership is like marrying someone, right? In business. And so the divorce can be messy, right? So you want to make sure that you really do treat it like this is a real relationship. So whatever I would look for in a partner in any kind of way, you want to look for that in a business partner.
I totally agree. I talk about this all the time. I talk about relationships. Relationships is give and take. It's not just take, 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 and it's not just give, 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 give either, right? You have to find that medium in any relationship. You have to find that give and take is super important. Really sitting down, learning how you can actually benefit, from this partnership. And for the most part, and this is something that I always think about first, how can we actually add value to you? I don't want to get in, any type of partnership if I can't provide some type of value, right? So I think it's super important, for us to think, and to really just to bring that back, right? To bring back that community, bringing back those real partnerships, bring back that trust, man. The trust is super messed up right now. That's what we're doing with the mob. That's what we're doing with our community. We're bringing back that trust. That's what we're doing with our affiliate programs and our friends in the mob program. We're bringing back that trust, showing people that it's actually people out here that cares, actually people that are out here that's actually going to do what they say they're going to do. And there's actually people that's out here that's passionate. I love this. I love to brag on my people, right? I love to see my people excelling. I love to, show off the people in our community. That's why we, show the commercials and the interviews in the beginning of our brainstorming. So we just started doing that because I want people to see the people that we're actually working with, behind closed doors as well, and see some of the things that we're actually doing. Some of the stuff that we do, you really can't see. A lot of the stuff we're doing is behind closed doors. We have our production meetings, stuff like that. Even with our brainstorming sessions, I want them to see people like yourself that's really out here, doing some amazing things. And it's super important, man. We gotta brag on each other a little bit more. Yeah. So I want to move on to content creation real quick, and I don't want to hold you up too much longer. I got a couple more for you. Or real quick, let's skip to mindset and motivation. This is something that I really been tapping into a lot more these last couple of years. And actually, we're gonna start live streaming different audio books that we've been putting out in our community based around mindset. And I think we're nothing without a mindset, right? What mindset shift has had the biggest impact on your growth? How do you keep, motivating yourself when things get hard?
Okay, so the nature of what I do, right, is metaphysical entertainment. And so for me, everything revolves around my relationship with myself through the universe, right? Through source, God, right? And the God within me. So the biggest mindset that really helped propel me forward was understanding that I had access to unlimited, infinite potential, right? Because that is just inherently how we're created. But there is so much in society that tries to pretty much give you that matrix mentality, like what's right in front of your face is reality, to kind of sever your tie from what's actually real. And that is, you have the power of everything around you to use at your own will, right? Because we're all energy. So you can literally pull energy from anywhere as long as you're aligned to that frequency. But you have to be able to know that about yourself and really understand it and feel it and connect to that. And having that mindset really broke any shackles on my mind and what I thought I could do. And that helped propel me forward. And through any, trials and tribulations that I have, any self-limiting beliefs, like I said, I pull from the same place, God, the universe, whatever you believe in, right? That's always going to be the thing that pulls you through.
Hey, you hit it right on the head. It's all in your mind. And you're your biggest enemy. Sometimes you can be your biggest setback. And it's super important to, make sure your mindset is right. I like the, I love, one of the quotes that one of our partners, Tracy Dalton, she always say, my CEO is God. I have to consult with my CEO first. And shout out to her, man. She's an amazing human being. If you haven't checked out, if you live with us, if you haven't checked out her brainstorming session, definitely check that out. She dropped a lot of jewels, but that was one of the things that really stuck out for me. And you have to have some type of, some type of mentor, some type of safety net, whether it's spiritual, physical, somebody, a partner of yours that's going to keep you motivated, keep you going, keep you pushing. That's why, in our community, we've been sending out different audio books to our members and different things like that, because it's super important. Sometimes you just need that confirmation. Sometimes you just need to meditate. I used to think meditation was some BS. I can't even lie. So I started looking into it. And man, it really, prayer and meditation will really, put you in a whole nother space. And it's super important. It's your superpower. Everything.
Yes.
Like my mother say, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. She raised me on that. So you have to strengthen your mindset and make sure that you moving like, the person that you want to be. You're thinking like the person that you want to be, and that's super important. Real quick, if you have any advice for, the upcoming moguls of today, what would it be?
I'll say this. When you're, especially, coming from a lot of like underserved backgrounds and even, as if you're American, a Black American, just the amount of trauma that we tend to carry. I want to say that trust in yourself, believe in yourself, and understand that you can do anything you put your mind to. And sometimes the people around you may not like it. Sometimes they may directly oppose you, but don't let that actually, you should flip that and take it as a compliment. That means that it's something in you that's powerful, that, there's always an opposition, right? So that means that there's something in you that is left untapped that you can tap into and elevate yourself. So when you have these people around you or situations, even if you feel like you don't have the resources, there's always something available to you. But you have to trust in yourself and not external noise and chatter, because that will, like you said, the mind, right, is so powerful. So take those times to ground yourself, connect with yourself, because you're always going to be guided in the right direction. So basically all that to say, listen to yourself and not those around you.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That was definitely one of the pivotal moments, one of the pivotal lessons that I had to learn myself. Like I said, I started my entrepreneur journey when it wasn't cool. A lot of people looked at me like I was crazy, like, well, you need to go get a job. I didn't listen to them, and now I'm doing something that I love to do. I do this, this is what I'm doing full time. This is my lifestyle, being a full-time entrepreneur and helping other people, become full-time entrepreneurs and, reach their goals. It's nothing like it, being your own boss. It's hard, you got to work. It ain't no 9 to 5. It's a 24/7. But if it's something that you love, you don't even feel it. So that's super important. Real quick, let the people know where they can find you and give the mob a quick shout out.
Yeah, so everyone, thank you for just tuning in. You can find me at thespaceyverse.com. You can just even type in Spaceyverse in Google and everything will pop up. But check us out. Definitely, if you're into really just connecting with yourself, elevating your mind, and if you just need a little support with everything going on, we're here to entertain you and help everyone through this seemingly chaotic situation we're going through right now, right? Because the biggest thing is joy is the key. So that's what the Spaceyverse does. It also, wakes you up. So if you're not ready to wake up, don't bother. But you can find me at thespaceyverse.com. And thank you to the mob.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I appreciate you, Queen, so much, dropping them gems, connecting with us. It's always great to connect with, like-minded individuals. Hey, if you definitely, if you tapped in with us, make sure you guys follow her and just follow some of the amazing things that she's doing with her company. I want to leave you guys with assignment, with the assignment for this month, module 1, right? It's called the Why Audit. I want you guys to write a 1-page founder's manifesto. I want you to detail exactly why you're starting your venture or exactly why you have already started your venture. I want you guys to jot down core values, right, that really guide your decisions. And I want you to jot down what success looks like to you beyond just profit. It's super important, you guys. Again, I always say this. It's not about, these assignments. It's not about me. It's not something that you just have to show me. It's about you. This is something that you should have done already or should be doing already. We just want to make sure you guys are on the right track. Hey, if you want to share your assignments with us, feel free to email us or send them to our DMs. We would love to see some of your manifestos. We just love to see you guys moving forward at the end of the day. And that's what it's all about. Hey, until next time, you guys continue on being great. Let's go.